Gee, folks, I thought we were supposed to be very, very worried about Christian nationalist terrorism shooting up our schools, terrorizing our country, threatening all of our lives. Here I was, every time I went out, I was looking over my shoulder and around every corner, behind every bush, and under every rock for the next Christian nationalist terrorist who may be lurking among us, just waiting to spring into action. You know, they're like sleeper cells all across the country. These disgusting, evil people who go to church on Sunday and grill hot dogs over charcoal on the 4th of July. And yet, we get a terrorist attack. And it's not from one of these Christian nationalists. Apparently, a very beautiful transgendered woman shot up a Christian nationalist school, a breeding ground for Christian nationalist terrorists, a training camp, some might even call it, in Nashville, Tennessee, was shot up. 6 people are dead, 3 faculty and 3 students, all at the hands of what appears to be a woke nationalist terrorist. This shooting comes 3 weeks, less than a month, after the state of Tennessee passed a law outlawing meatball surgery, the kind of surgery that people such as this beautiful transgendered woman might have undertaken. Of course, they didn't ban it for everybody. This 28-year-old woman could have certainly gone and hired a practitioner to perform meatball surgery on her, but they did ban it for children, I presume under the age of 18. So, if you're a 6-year-old and you say to mommy and daddy, I'm not feeling it down there. I think I need to lose it. Mom and dad, when you had me circumcised, I don't think you went far enough. Yeah, now when a 6-year-old says that to their parents, the parents can't just go to the doctor and say, well, gee, doc, you hurt him, so I guess we got no choice. Snip, snip. I have to say, I like Tennessee. I've been there many times since I was a kid. It's probably the one state outside of Florida and maybe Georgia, although, Georgia with their politics now, I don't feel like I know Georgia anymore, but as far as, feeling at home there, it feels the closest to home to me. So it saddens me, but, I always like to think of Tennessee as a more pure place than we down here in Florida, but, hey, you let this brain rot into your state, and it certainly has infected a city like Nashville to the core. Nashville is irredeemable. Memphis is pretty bad too, but in a different way. Memphis is not blue because it's full of a super majority of affluent, white, liberal, professional class types. Memphis is a deep blue city, as it always has been, because of the overwhelming black population. And those kinds of Democrats very different than people like this transgendered shooter. This transgendered shooter really is emblematic of the new Nashville. A great proxy for what's happened to the city of Nashville. Turn on your local country station. Listen to the garbage that comes out of your speakers. And then think, this is what Nashville's producing. So it tells you a little something about the people who live there. Nashville, like Atlanta, has just turned into Little Hollywood, although Atlanta's tried to make itself out as a hybrid of New York City and Hollywood, basically the worst of everything in America, which is why I think that Atlanta is such a horrible city. I've never liked Atlanta. And I also have to admit, I've never been to Nashville, never had an interest in going to Nashville. I've always had a soft spot for Knoxville. I had family that lived in Knoxville for quite some time. As far as cities go, of course, the mayor of Knox County, great guy, one of the best, Republican politicians in the country, Glenn Jacobs. But Nashville really is a tumor on the state of Tennessee. You look at it. What was this school? It was a Presbyterian school, So, I mean, it couldn't have been that that orthodox as far as Christianity goes. I wouldn't be surprised if this school's headmaster was actually a transgender man. That wouldn't surprise me at all. What my guess is, based on the fact that they were targeted by a transgender woman, so to speak. Remember, I am also on YouTube, so I have to temper my language a bit. I would imagine that perhaps this Presbyterian school had some vestiges of the Christian religion still embedded in their curriculum. And that would be enough to render them to the status of enemies to the broader culture of Nashville, Tennessee. It was, in the eyes of the wokists, a Christian nationalist enclave inside of their pure blue tumor. To the left, this Christian school was the real cancer on their city. And as this city continues to grow, they will turn their hatred outward towards the rest of the state. And once they've amassed enough power, like Atlanta, like Chicago, they will consume the rest of the state of Tennessee, and they will impose their woke tyranny upon them. Children will be castrated against their parents' will. That's the road we're walking down, and that's the road that the people of Nashville want to take the rest of Tennessee. Now, the rest of Tennessee is pushed back against that by passing this bill. And because the wokesters do not possess political power currently in the state of Tennessee, and they won't for the next, at least, foreseeable future, but there's certainly things are trending in their direction, they had to lash out in violence. Now, I'm not trying to say that I think every single Democrat voter in the city of Nashville supports this, far from it. But there are always people on the fringes, people who are willing to carry out these sorts of acts. And considering the level of vitriol and the zealousness in which in the last 5 to 10 years these ideas have been promoted, I am not surprised that we would see someone, or in fact many people, more people than usual, let's say, who are willing to resort to this. Now, I have to also give the disclaimer, as I do with every shooting, that this person may very well likely be a Fed or the result of Fed provocation. But I'm not really familiar with any ongoing ops, Fed ops, targeting the trannies. I just haven't seen that. I know that the Feds are targeting Christian nationalists, but I don't know of Feds trying to radicalize trannies into shooting up Christian schools. I just haven't heard that. So to me, considering that this goes against the Fed's interests, the odds lean in favor of this being a genuine act. In other words, I don't think this is a false flag. There's always a strong possibility of that. With every shooting, with every sort of terrorist attack. You know, think, for example, when's the last time you heard about a Muslim extremist terrorist attack in the United States? Been a while, hasn't it? Well, coincidentally, the Feds haven't been targeting the Islamic community in quite some time either. And so from everything I've seen, the Feds are doing everything they can to promote the trannies and every woke fringe group. And so I'd be much more likely to believe that this was the result of a Fed op if the roles were reversed. If, let's say, this was a Christian nationalist shooting up a tranny school, So anyway, I think that's all I have to say on this now. We don't have, all the information now. This was just, fun speculation on my part. I got to vent a little about the state of Tennessee and Georgia, I guess, to a little extent. But yeah, Tennessee, I think you need to get your act together. You need to be a little hostile, more hostile to outsiders. Not hostile as in shooting them, but you can't let this culture continue to fester. The only reason why this person felt like they had a right to do something like this is because they feel empowered. So, anyway, with that said, I will see you folks back here tomorrow.